Hello everyone! So today I wanted to come on here and talk about Jupiter entering Leo, which will be a really big shift for all of us, and that happens on June 30th of this year, which is 2026. Jupiter only changes signs once a year, so this is one of the bigger sort of astrological transits that we'll see, at least this year, and this will be kind of a noticeable shift on everyone's end. So in this video, I will talk about what Jupiter represents, what Leo is like, each of the 12 houses and how this may affect you differently, and some things that you can try depending on what area of your life it is in for you. So first things first, what actually is Jupiter and what does it stand for? So Jupiter is the planet of growth, luck, abundance, and it is so loved in the astrology community because it often expands whatever it touches. And as we go through this video and talk about how great Jupiter is, I think it's important to note that growth isn't always comfortable. Because Jupiter expands whatever it touches, sometimes that's a very, very wonderful thing. That's great. Sometimes it can mean like overdoing things on the negative side of it. Too much of a good thing is not always a good thing. So just to kind of understand it a little better, I have a really good example in my birth chart, I think, that I actually talked about in my How to Read Your Birth Chart video. So if you want a better guide on that, you can go back and watch that. But if you want to understand Jupiter a little better, I have in my birth chart, so this is always a thing for me, I have Jupiter in my 6th house. And Jupiter, since it's growth and luck and expansion, the 6th house is your daily routines, your work, your health, your pets, because if you wake up at 5 a.m. to feed them every day, that's kind of a daily routine. So pets are often associated with the 6th house, and I have growth and luck and expansion there, so which is quite literal for me because I have had so many pets in my life. I've had 6 dogs, 6 cats, like 8 fish, 2 birds, 2 mice, like just a crazy amount of pets. But on a negative side, I tend to really overwork myself. Whenever I kind of get going in a job, I work myself to death. So like I have a lot of growth and expansion in my daily routines and my work. So it's like I burn out really, really easily because I push myself really hard. So that's just something to keep in mind, that there's like the good side of Jupiter, like growth in pets, but then there's the sort of negative side to Jupiter where it's like growth still in my work and my routines and stuff. So before we look ahead at what Jupiter and Leo might mean for us, I think it's important to look back first at what Jupiter in Cancer did for us over the last year. In Cancer, you can look at where you grew and where Cancer is in your chart. You can ask, what did it actually bring for me and how did it expand my life in that house that Cancer is in your birth chart? And one more example that I have is actually, for me, whenever Jupiter was going through Cancer the last year, I had that in my 7th house. And you might see that and be like, oh, so you had growth in your relationships or your partnerships. So that isn't actually what happened for me. But I did have a lot of growth in my mindset on those things, which I found more important than having gotten a new partner or something. But I think it's good to see that it's not always going to be literal for you. Like Jupiter going through your 7th house doesn't always mean growth in relationships. Like it's not always going to be exactly like that. But I'm still really grateful for how it turned out because while I didn't end up with a relationship coming out of it, I learned so much and now I feel better prepared to go into a relationship because I've learned a lot about my stance on relationships and my place in relationships and stuff like that. Anyways, enough about myself. So now let's talk about Leo. And Leo is the sign of confidence, being radiant, being seen. It's a lot to do with creativity or leadership. At Leo's best, it teaches you, do not shrink yourself for anyone. Be unapologetically you. Just be you and be proud and be confident with it. And at its worst, Leo can become kind of overly dependent on attention or pride and that kind of thing. So that's just something to keep in mind and be mindful of as we go into this time. So as Jupiter moves into Leo, many people might express themselves in a more bold way or become more creative or take some big steps into the spotlight. Like that's some things that we might see among everyone because Jupiter is moving into Leo for everyone, just in different parts of our lives. Before we look into the houses and get really into the details of that, I want to talk about some of the major aspects that Jupiter is going to be making to the other planets when it first enters Leo, because this will kind of affect how the transition period is going to go. So the first aspect is that Jupiter is going to be sextiling Mars and Uranus in Gemini. And Mars is the planet of courage and motivation, and Uranus is sudden change and sort of like an unexpected thing that came out of nowhere. And since those are both in Gemini, and Gemini is the sign of communicating and trying new things and learning and just being super curious about everything, having those together in Gemini may be sort of like a helping hand to Jupiter. It kind of feels like it's gonna reward you if you try something new. And sextiles are opportunity, so it's not as strong as like a trine would be, but it's sort of like, here's the opportunity, you can take it or you can leave it. So it's really up to you whether something comes from this, but if you see an opportunity and you feel motivated and it's unexpected, it's out of nowhere, and it has growth and stuff, take it, just try it. Then Jupiter will trine Neptune in Aries, and I think this is a really good aspect because Leo is so creative and has a lot to do with joy and confidence, and Neptune is sort of like dreamy, also creative and imaginative. I think in a way this is really good. It might help us get more ideas and be more confident in our ideas, but I think in a way also Neptune being there, we need to make sure to stay grounded in that so that we actually take action on them and don't spend the whole time dreaming and being in our head about it and then nothing comes from it. So the last aspect that I will talk about is Jupiter opposing Pluto in Aquarius. And this is a bigger one, I think, and because they're at an opposition, we kind of want to find balance between the two things. It may be that you're being pulled in two different directions, and Pluto has a lot to do with power and deep transformations, so it could be that you are giving your power too much into certain things where you want to grow in one direction, but you're being kind of pulled in the other. So that's something to keep in mind during the beginning of this transit through Leo. And you might be able to see what in your Aquarius part of your life needs to actually transform and take that power of Pluto so that you can grow in the Leo part of your life. Now, to talk about the houses, the house is what area of your life this is happening for you. And if you don't know what that is or how to find it, again, I have a video talking about how to read your birth chart and everything, but I will give a little brief explanation just in case. So if you don't know, your birth chart is sort of like a picture of the sky whenever you're born. And as planets spin around the circle, they activate different parts of your life and bring different things. So if you just look up free birth chart calculator or something like that online, you should be able to enter in your birthday, your birth location and time, and then you can see where the planets are in different parts of your life. And if you really want to fully understand it, I recommend you go watch my video, but yeah. But just for time's sake, if you look at the birth chart, you will see on the outer part of the circle this symbol, and that stands for Jupiter. And then you'll see that the circle is split into 12 different parts, and those are the different areas of your life. They're like little pie slices, and those are the different parts of the life that I'm going to be talking about and talking about what it means for Jupiter to be entering that part of your life. It's important to note that not every transit is going to be the same for everyone, so everyone who has Jupiter going through their second house is going to get really rich. That's just, it's not going to happen that way. That would be really nice, but just keep in mind that every transit affects everyone differently. And when I talk about the houses, I'll talk about what each house represents, how Jupiter and Leo might affect you in that area of your life, and how to work with that energy, something that you can try during the next year that can maybe help you grow in that area of your life. Okay, so starting with the first house, it's important to note that the first house is who you are on the outside. It's who you identify yourself as, it's how other people see you. This is also your rising sign, so if you ask what your rising sign is, it is whatever sign starts the first house, which if you are watching the first part of this, it means that Leo is your rising sign. And Leo is such a bright, radiant energy, and since the first house is all about you and your appearance and yourself, this is not a time to hide yourself. Jupiter being here in Leo can kind of show up as you taking up more space in your life, or having a little more comfort around being seen, or trying new things with your appearance, that kind of thing. So because Leo wants to shine really bright and be really radiant, and Jupiter expands wherever it goes, this is the time to just be yourself and be proud of it. Do not try to hide who you are. I think that if this is happening for you, some good things that you could try are to try and update your wardrobe, or change your hair, do a new thing with your appearance, something that you've always wanted to do. Do it because you want to do it. And it's a really good time to put yourself out there, because you might just feel more confident and just be you. You want to really think about who you're becoming and who you want to become, and think about what steps you need to take to become the best version of yourself. And start with the first step. Just do the first little baby step and you will get there, I promise. Now, the second house is what you value. It has a lot to do with your money, your finances. It can be your self-worth as well. Jupiter entering Leo here could bring you literal money, which would be great. I hope that happens for all of you. But it could also be your relationship with money, that you might have growth and luck and abundance in how you view money. Maybe you're able to save money a little better. You also might have a lot of growth in your self-worth and just how you view yourself, how you value yourself, which is honestly super important, and that can kind of transfer into how you value your money too. Because if you value yourself more, you might charge more for what you offer or whatever your job is, and it might work out and then you get more money, so it's great. So I think Jupiter and Leo here really wants you to not downplay what you have to offer, really start to understand what you can bring to the table and appreciate it and be proud of it. Some things that you can try during this time are work on a new side hustle. If there's something that you see and you're like, I kind of want to start my own business, try and do that on the side of your normal work or whatever. Just do the little baby steps to make that happen. You can also go buy like a journal, and if you every night write one thing that you're proud of yourself for doing that day, or something that you're glad or grateful that you have. So you can say like, oh, I really value or am grateful for the fact my hair felt pretty today. My hair is a mess today, but You can also, this is a good time to create a new savings goal. So if you really wanted to save money to go on a trip, but you've been kind of avoiding saving money, this is a good time to start doing that. But I think one thing you should take from this is that it's not always about literal money, but sometimes recognizing your own value can in turn bring abundance as well. So I think that recognize your own worth before anything else. Now, the third house is all about communication, learning, growth. It has to do with siblings as well. So it has a lot to do with just how you exchange information with the people around you. Jupiter entering Leo here might bring some growth into how you want to speak and how you want to teach and learn. You might want to take some classes on something. This is a really good time to just explore your curiosity. So if there's something that you're kind of interested in that you've always wanted to try, this is a great time for that. Like, take a course on whatever interests you just because you like it. This is a really good time to read more books. Read books that expand you. And that can also be just like a romance book. Like if you want to learn more about how to value yourself, then whatever, just literally expand your knowledge and communicate with those around you, especially those who have different perspectives, and just open your mind a little to those. You could also just take any class, just grow in any way that feels like it's called to you. So it could also just be painting class or self-defense class, just whatever you're interested in. Just try and expand your knowledge in that way. Now, your fourth house is your home life, your family, your roots. It's kind of where you come home to every day. With Jupiter entering Leo here, this could literally play out that you move into a bigger house or an environment that suits you in a bigger and better way, or you renovate your house, or you paint all the walls colors that you like or something. And since Leo is your way of shining bright and being who you are without apologizing about it, you want to make your home reflect that. So this is a great time. If you love the color of orange and you just love it, get all your furniture to be orange or match with orange stuff. Just be who you are without apologizing. It'll be a really good time to spend time with your family and declutter your space, because as a lot of people often say, if your home is organized or your room is organized, then your outer world becomes organized as well, because you're not trying to navigate your mind through straight chaos on the outside. Just, it's really helpful to have a space that really suits you. So follow that. So this is entering the 5th house for you. This is a really good transit, I think, for you, because the 5th house is really often associated with Leo, because the 5th house is a lot to do with your creativity, your joy, your pleasures, romance, like going on dates and stuff like that. It's just how you express yourself, and that has a lot of similar qualities as Leo. So Jupiter being here will just already expand that part of your life that you naturally have. This could be a really good time for pursuing any creative hobbies you might have. This will be a really good year to just really put yourself out there in what you love and doing things just because you enjoy them. I think it's really important that you could even once a week or once a month maybe try and do one creative thing for yourself. Intentionally set aside time to do that. So let's say you do it once a month. You set aside a few hours on the first Saturday of each month, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do something creative for myself each Saturday. Whether it's make a painting or make a little clay sculpture, just go and buy some clay and put it in the oven after and make a cute little guy. And then at the end of the year, you can look at all these things that you made and you can see how much you've learned and how far you've come and how much fun you had doing it. This is a good time to take an art class, or I'm saying art a lot, but you can do anything really creative. So whether that's dance, or can practice learning an instrument as well, or photography, just something creative, something that brings you joy, you can try. It could also just be having growth in your area of romance and going on more dates, or learning a lot about how you approach dating as a whole. So this can really play out in a lot of different ways in your 5th house, but overall I think it will be really good to just follow what makes you feel the most alive and what makes you feel the most joy, because this is the time to do it, focus on it, and be proud of it. Now the 6th house, I want to say first, because I talked about earlier Jupiter being in my 6th house and how I have the burnout thing and lots of pets thing. It's not going to play out that way for you. That's just who I am at my core. And again, even if someone else has Jupiter in their birth chart, it's not going to play out exactly that way. But anyways, if this is transiting your 6th house in Leo, the 6th house is a lot to do with your daily routines, your work, your health, and your pets. This is a really, really good placement for if you want to grow into a certain person. So you can try and look a year from now and think oh, I wish I woke up every morning at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, or I wish that I flossed every day. It can be anything. If there's something that you want to implement into your daily routines, this is the time to start doing it. And you have to start small, because it's easier to add on to things than to just completely change your schedule. So just work from the ground up. If you brush your teeth every morning at a certain time, just add flossing right before you do that. So then eventually when you don't do it, you're gonna be wait, that kind of feels weird. You want to pair it with something so that you can always it feels right, I guess. This is a really good time to start a fitness routine or start a new diet that you've always wanted to try. Jupiter going through your 6th house has a lot to do with your health, so this can also be taking advantage of becoming a healthier person and having a lot of growth in that way of your life. I actually said this a little bit earlier, but a really good thing that I think works for me, at least, I know it won't work for everyone, but if you look at, okay, where do I want to be a year from now, or 5 years from now, wherever, you want to write down every single step that it would take for you to get there, whether it's buy a new pair of shoes so that you can start going to the gym, or whatever it is. Just write down all the steps that it would take to get to that point, and do the first one. Just start with the first one, and then maybe you'll be like, that wasn't that bad, let's do the second one, and then all of a sudden you're there. Who knew? The 7th house. So the 7th house is your relationships and your one-on-one partnerships. So you might see Jupiter going through here, like I said earlier, and be like, oh great, I'm gonna get a relationship, this is awesome. And yes, you might, that would be great, and I hope it works out. But it's not always that literal, so that's just something to keep in mind. But for some people, it will play out kind of how it played out for me, where I learn more about myself through other people and my relationships with other people and how to approach them better. And I had a lot of growth and luck in my way of that. This is a wonderful time to practice being with open communication in your relationships and how to build healthier relationships and how to value yourself in those relationships. And with Leo here, since Leo is so confident and charming, I really want to emphasize that it's really important to be yourself. And if someone doesn't match your energy, they're not for you. Just be you and don't feel bad about it, and be proud. Some things that you can try during this time are meet new people. It can be really good to strengthen existing relationships or have really hard conversations that you've been avoiding, because they might strengthen the relationships that you have, or they might get rid of the relationships that aren't good for you. And that's really important too. So while it might seem scary, I feel like the outcome, you will grow from this and learn a lot about yourself and just be who you are and love that version of yourself. Now, the 8th house. The 8th house is really deep intimacy. It is death and rebirth in the metaphorical sense. So like getting rid of the old to make room for the new. It has a lot to do with like therapy and healing, that kind of thing. To think about things that might change you from the inside out, that is sort of the idea of the 8th house. It's almost sometimes things that you can't control, because the 8th house is sometimes associated with other people's money or inheritance or like debts, student loans, that kind of thing. So sometimes it's like how other people's decisions and stuff affect you. In a way, Jupiter being here could bring you support through other people. So if you have Jupiter going through your 8th house, it could be that someone like your partner or your parents get a really good job or get a lot of extra growth in their life, and they're able to sort of put that onto you as well. So that's sort of like you have growth in other people's money in a way. It could also be that you're just given opportunities to sort of heal old wounds that you might have. Maybe you start going to therapy, which I highly recommend for everyone. It is great. So it might just be that you start working on yourself a lot better and you learn and grow in that way. Sometimes also growth is not about just bringing in a bunch of new things. It's about letting go of things that aren't healthy for you. So I encourage you to really reflect on that and see if there's anything in your life that you're holding on to that maybe you would be better off without. And I know that's a really hard thing to try and think about, but it may do you really well during this time, because that may just be what Jupiter is entering that part of your life for, is to bring you that growth that you haven't been letting yourself accept yet. Now, some things to try during this time. Definitely try therapy if you don't already. Therapy is a wonderful thing, and it is so important to be able to be vulnerable and be able to say, oh, I think that I maybe am not doing this right, or maybe I want to improve myself on this part of my life. And I think it's really important to be able to say where you might have faults to grow stronger. This could also be a good time to learn about psychology, like broaden your mind on that kind of thing, or practice meditating. That could be good. That's also sort of a 12th house thing, which I will get into for that as well. But you definitely want to ask yourself, what are you ready to change? Because this is the time to grow and change in the way that maybe you weren't ready to before. Now is the time. Now, the 9th house is so Jupiter. It is all about expanding in long distance travel and different cultures and philosophies and really seeing other perspectives on things. So it's very similar to the themes of Jupiter. So if this is happening for you during this time, this is a really good period. This will be such a good time to really expand your knowledge on different cultures, or maybe you find yourself wanting to travel more during this time, and definitely do that if you can help it. And if you don't have the financial means to do that yet, you can start saving for that, or you can start learning about other cultures, try and learn a new language, or watch a documentary on how people live in different places, or like just respectful culture things that different places do. It's really interesting, and it can help broaden your mind and maybe teach you things that you really enjoy that you would like to bring into your daily life. You can also explore a new philosophy. This is also a really good time, just like I was saying before, like go be curious about the world far and wide, like just broaden your mind and be open to what other people have and what other people want to say. This time period for you is all about how can you expand your world and how can you take all of the other cultures and really become open-minded about it and learn more. Now the 10th house. The 10th house is your public image, it's your career, it's sort of how the outside world sees you. So I think Jupiter here is a very good thing because you might have growth in how other people see you. So whether that's in your career, like you literally become more visible or you get a raise or something like that. And with Leo here too, you might have actual like leadership opportunities too, because Leo is such a leader sign. So that would be really a nice thing, I hope, for you. This is a really good time to work hard and earn the promotion and ask for it because maybe you already work hard enough to get it. And this is also a good time to start a business on the side of your work. This is also a really good time to share your work publicly. So if you, because Leo is so confident and does so well being seen, I think that it would work out more in your favor than you think. And even if it doesn't go well, putting yourself out there is such a great thing. So ask yourself, what impact do you want to make, and start working towards what you need to do to make that happen. Now, the 11th house. The 11th house is your communities, your social groups. It's who you surround yourself with on the day-to-day. So if you go to the gym every day, it might be the people that you say hi to at the gym, or the people that you talk about your day with at school or something like that. So with Jupiter here, it may encourage you to be inspired to grow through other people or grow your communities. And this is a really good time to make a new friend group or grow through joining a new class, whether it's like a hiking group or like a Pilates group or something, like whatever that you want to do and you kind of want to meet people and grow through people like that, do it. And I know starting something like that can be really scary sometimes, so if it's too much, you don't have to send it all the way and join a hiking group or something, but you can, because in our day and age, doing things online is really convenient, so it may help to join an online group. This is just a really good time to make new friends, and whether it's like joining a Discord, just chatting with random people online, or if it's like joining a Reddit thread, right? Let's say it's like something that you really enjoy. Let's say you really like cameras and you have a lot of knowledge on them. Join the Reddit thread, and then you can respond to people who have questions about the cameras, and that might make you feel a little better that you were able to help someone because of something that you know, and you might make some friends out of it, which would be great. It's just a really good time to collaborate with other people and make new friends, so it's a great time to put yourself out there because of Leo being so radiant and bright. Just do the thing that scares you, meet new people, and I think it will work out really well for you. Now, the 12th house. The 12th house is all about your subconscious and unconscious mind. It has a lot to do with your dreams, your inner world, that kind of thing. So Jupiter here might create sort of growth that isn't immediately something that you can see. A lot of the time it's more internal before it's external, but that's really important. Because if you can understand yourself more deeply and have growth in your inner world, then that will come out and be seen in your outer world, and that's a fantastic thing. This can be a really, really good time, a good year for this Jupiter and Leo transit, for you to learn to trust yourself. It can be good for healing and doing the deep work in yourself and being proud of it. This is a really good time to spend time alone intentionally. So if you want to be whimsy and go to the park and have a picnic by yourself, and just don't doom scroll or anything, just sit with your thoughts and meditate. Learn how to meditate. That's a really good thing for this time. And you can also have like a dream journal. Write down your dreams. Try and like pick them apart and stuff, and just think about that. But really think about what part of yourself deserves more compassion, and what part of yourself, if you took a little more care of or nurtured a little bit, would be able to bring a more positive outlook into your life. So try and start there. Now that we've gone through the 12 houses, I just want to say that remember that Jupiter is mainly associated with luck and abundance, but the most important thing I think is growth. Sometimes growth is such an exciting thing, and sometimes it's really uncomfortable, but it turns out great in the long run anyways. Sometimes it's just in ways you don't expect, so try not to focus on what actually will play out. Instead, try and think about where this area of your life is going to be affected and how Jupiter might be asking you to grow. Rather than forcing you to grow, think about where you can work with it and try and grow yourself too. Okay, well that is it for this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, and it would be really appreciated if you like the video and subscribe. If you have any concerns or anything, let me know. I will be happy to help if I can. And I would also love to hear about how Jupiter was in Cancer for you. So if you have any stories about that, I would love to hear it. And again, my Redbubble link I will put in the description if you want to see my designs or anything like that. That's another way that you can support me. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope that this transit through Leo with Jupiter is great for you all. Thank you so much. Bye.